Hello, 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 world. How is everybody doing today? This is your host, Louise Hicks of Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour. So, you know what to do. Thumbs up, subscribe, Aim to Purpose Radio, subscribe, leave your comments. So, today, let's talk. Let's talk about politics. You know, this is the year of the election 2024. So, what are your thoughts on the Democratic and the Republican parties? What are your thoughts? Just thought I'd come in and talk a little bit about politics. So, I'm wondering when it's going to get more heated up because they're going to heat up to get your vote, those Democrats, with that RAT on the end, don't forget. And if you get multiple of them, you got that RATS on the end. Democrats, Demorat, Demorats. And they will come and start targeting you as us, I should say, as Black people for our vote. So are you going to give away your vote in 2024 and just hand it over to them with no return on your investment? Isn't that what you want? A return on your investment. When you invest, you should get a return. Voting is an investment. And we've been voting for years and years and years, Democrats. However, we have not gotten any return on our investment, only some symbolic returns that's not going to put anything in your pocket. Like Juneteenth under the Biden administration, did it put any money in your pocket? No. Took some out of it because of the celebration of it. I didn't celebrate it, so it didn't take anything out of my pocket because to me, it was just another symbolic gesture that these Democrats will give you in order to appease you. So, how long are we going to allow these Democrats to appease us with no return on our investment? We must start thinking, using our critical thinking skills so that we can get a return on our investment. If they're not going to give you a return, why vote for them? It's no reason to. I didn't vote for them in the last election, 2020. In fact, I didn't vote for either one, Democrat or Republican. I just didn't vote for them. No need to, because when I get a return on my investment, then I can see myself voting for them. And as I have said many times before, I became an independent voter when I was in my 30s, and I am about to be 73 within the next 2 months because I could not see myself continuing to vote Democratic. And I had been voting since I turned 18. I started voting Democratic because historically, that's exactly what we were told to do. And that's what we've been doing. It's just been customary. You just go out and vote for your Democrat. But I stopped doing that in my 30s because I didn't see any return on my investment for voting for Democrats. And some of these Democrats have been in office for decades and decades. And look at your Black caucus. What do they do for Black people? Nothing. So we need to get all of them out of office as far as I'm concerned and start anew and see what some new people will do. Because these Democrats, they come into your church, they talk a good game, they leave, and you don't see them again until the next election. That's how they operate with Black people. They don't operate with nobody else like that. And what did Joe Biden tell you on the Breakfast Club with Charlemagne? He said, if you don't vote for him, you ain't black. I didn't vote for him. However, I am black. That was an insult. So why do we keep allowing these Democrats to disrespect us? They don't disrespect other ethnic groups. He didn't tell anybody else that. If you don't vote for me, you're not Asian. If you don't vote for me, you're not white. If you don't vote for me, you're not Hispanic. He only told us that because he felt he could get away with it, just tell us anything, and we're going to keep running out and voting for them. No matter how much they disrespect us, no matter what they say to us, those Democrats think that we will vote for them regardless, and some of us will. However, we have to wake up and bring ourselves to a higher level of consciousness and use discernment, use our common sense. What are we getting from them? You tell me, can you name something that we've gotten from these Democrats? And when we can do that, I can see they don't, Joe Biden won't even mention the word reparations. I haven't heard him mention it. If he has, I haven't heard it. But he doesn't have any problem using our tax dollars to give to Ukraine and anybody else that will ask for it other than Black people. He doesn't have any problem, he and Kamala, signing a bill, a hate crime bill for Asian, and I don't have a problem with that. But you didn't sign one for Blacks. So we have to wake up and stop voting for these people. If they're not going to give us something in return, a return is just like anytime you go out and you buy some gas, you put gas in your car, you're getting a return on your investment because your investment in that gas gives you mileage to go where you want to go and where you need to go. So you're getting a return on your investment. When you go to the grocery store and buy some food, you come home, you got food to eat to nourish your body, feed your soul. So you're getting a return on your investment. And when you go and you buy some attire to wear, you have something tangible to show for it. What tangibles do we have to show for voting Democratic, these Democrats, all of these years? We don't have anything tangible to show for it. Nothing. Nothing. And the Black Caucus, what are they there for? What do they do? I've been watching them over the years. Like I said, I'm about to embark upon 73. And I know Miss Sheila Lee, I've followed and seen her, even though I was in California, I've seen her speaking and talking, and that's mostly all they do is talk. And I know she ran for mayor down there in Houston, but she lost. And I think she's trying to get her way back in the legislature now. So we got to start thinking about why we are voting, who we are voting for. What are they going to do for us? That's what other people do. You see what they did for the LGBTQ. They didn't just give up their vote. And President Obama was the one that did a lot for that community. And I'm not judging them. That's them, that whatever they choose to do, I don't have any issue with what they choose to do. That's okay with me. That's between them and whomever they serve. I don't have anything to do with that. However, we have to start looking for tangibles. We can't just give away our vote to these people. Our ancestors worked too hard, built this country, fought for this country, and what do we get in return? Nothing but racism every day of our lives. That's what we're getting. And I'm speaking truth because I've been there and done that. So I'm not sitting here just saying something and pulling something out of the sky. I've been there. I've been discriminated against in housing, in jobs, had people promoted over me, didn't have hardly a brain in their head, merely because they were white and I'm Black. And some will tell you to your face. I had one to tell me because he was about to be promoted and didn't even pass a test, a white man. And I happened to be told about it. Otherwise, he'd have gotten the position. They would have they would have done another test and it would have been a verbal only. It wouldn't have been a written because that's how they operate. And I'm just speaking my truth of my own personal experiences on the job. And this was a government job. Same difference in private industry because I've worked in that as well. They'll steal your ideas that you give, don't give you credit for it, do everything they can if you don't quit to try and humiliate you, try and have you to die on the job. I've never been fired from a job. I've practiced law because I was going to go to law school. So I've never been fired. Was hoping I would be once upon a time because I was sick of the racism on the job. I mean, it was a hostile working environment. You can go to these jobs and it's so hostile. But sometimes that's your only out in order to feed your family. You do what you got to do. However, we got to learn how to navigate and facilitate ourselves through these jobs. Like I said, I've never been fired and I speak up and speak out because you know why? I am fearfully, can you see that? I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. You see that? Fearfully and wonderfully made. So I exercise my ability to speak up and speak out. And that's from Psalm 139:14. And I love to have little gadgets and things around me because it helps me to better understand how to navigate. And I do a lot of reading, due diligence, and I think about my ancestors because I keep them near and dear. Like here is, in case you don't know who this is Ida B. Wells. She was a journalist born into slavery, but look what she did. She was, like I said, fearfully and wonderfully made. And look at this gentleman. You know who this is? Frederick Douglass. He was an activist. He wasn't afraid, willing to do what he had to do because he was a human being. Nobody should have been treated. This man was taken away from his family, according to history, at the age of 6 to work for white people as a slave. He was born into slavery also in the early 1800s, somewhere, 1818 or somewhere. Frederick Douglass. These people were fearless. And because they knew, they understood that scripture, Psalm 139:14, fearfully and wonderfully made, brilliant and melanated. They understood that. So we have to understand that and stop crying, Taraji, Viola. Stop talking and practice powernomics. I talked about that in another podcast. Let's read more. Look at this. The tragedy of white injustice. Marcus Garvey. 2024, let's make it a year of reading because reading opened the mind to great opportunities. That's what reading will do for you. It opens your mind. It gives you a renewing of the mind. So let's read more. Read, read, read. Marcus Garvey, a brilliant brilliant, brilliant man, born in Jamaica. However, he made great strides here in America. And we need to read about our ancestors. And we have to come together across the globe as Black people. We have to unify. We have to connect the dots and not be afraid to own and acknowledge who we are. Learn our history, no matter what DeSantis says down there in Florida, because he's a madman. He's down there in Florida telling people uh, slavery gave us skills and just a bunch of nonsense. How can you get skills from somebody beating the crap out of you, castrating you, raping you? I wouldn't have survived slavery. I'm too much like my mother. My mother was a brave woman. And she and my father were both very smart, brilliant people, even though they were limited in formal education. However, they had common sense and they had discernment. And I know I have a lot of them in me. So, and I'm happy about that. So we have to come together and connect those dots and stop giving our votes to these Democrats that don't care anything about us. All they want to do is come up in the Black church, come into your Black community during election time, and you vote for them, and you don't see them again until the next time. They won't come back now. You're not going to see them coming back. They only come around when it's election time. Have you known them to come back anytime during the year to fellowship with you in your church? But your pastors let them come in there. And here's another book. This person here was a guest of mine when my son and I, Kenan Mason, who has his own podcast now, The Kinetic Hour, I think he's on Instagram and Facebook. And he has his YouTube channel, The Kinetic Hour. When we were doing our show in Hollywood, I don't know of any mother, son, Black team doing podcasts back 2014. We did it, I think, 4 or 5 seasons. And this particular book I read, Holy Lockdown, Does the Church Limit Black Progress by Jeremiah Kamara. Very well written, has a lot of great information in it because I'm with what this book says. Does the church limit Black progress? And in so many ways it does. And that's not putting the church down, because some churches are elevating and supporting their people economically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, intellectually, socially, physically, because we need all of those attributes in order for us to become whole. Because we've been traumatized for years and years and years. It started in slavery. And if you ever read the Willie Lynch letter, you will see why. Because anytime you're brutalized and you take the woman and you make her an overseer more than you do the man, that's not healthy. And that is what has carried on and continued, because they're still trying to do it. However, a lot of women are waking up now to that emasculation of our Black men, and that's what's happening a lot. And you have to come into an awakening of what's going on. And Black women are coming and becoming aware of all of this, trying to elevate the Black woman over their Black men. And we see it's by design. And it's to keep the family structure from coming together. And we can talk about all of these, as Dr. Claude Anderson, whom I've met, talk about the symptoms. These are symptoms, and the symptoms are because of slavery, the various behaviors within the Black community. It has a lot to do with economics. When Black people thrive, how many people can thrive after you've been beaten and castrated and all of the atrocities done to you over the years, yet you thrive and build towns and communities, and white people come in and just wipe them out because of their hate and their evil. And I'm not speaking of all white people, so don't get it twisted. And I know I had a guy one time when I was working, he was an auditor from the state, and I worked as a manager in the county. And I don't know, somehow we got to talking about race relations and so forth. And he said to me, well, I, I didn't do anything. It was my forefathers. And I had to correct him. I said, it was your forefathers that enslaved and brought the Black people over here from Africa uh, against our will and treated us like crap, worse than crap. However, you're benefiting from all of that, and it's still going on. That's the thing, it's still going on. I'm telling you from what I have experienced, racism is still going on. We just don't have the chains around our uh, feet, but those invisible chains are still there. Look at the incarceration. Look who's being incarcerated. Look who goes to these jobs every day being discriminated against. As even in the, like Taraji broke down crying, being underpaid. I know what that feels like. I've been there. So we got to stop voting for these people that don't care about you. All they want you to do is give them some numbers. They don't care about you. Biden and Harris they don't care. They're going to come in your church. And this book, I would say go and read it, Holy Lockdown by Jeremiah Kamara. Does the church limit Black progress? And that's something I'm going to talk about in a different podcast, because we have lots of churches within our community, almost one on every corner, some side by side, whatever. And they aren't unified, and they take in a lot of money every year. And we don't have financial institutions, we don't have manufacturing institutions, we don't have educational institutions, we don't have our medical institutions. We should have all of those things. With the money that churches bring in, why not join together? You're letting all these Democrats come into the church and talk to the congregation, getting your vote, and you don't see them again. Doesn't that tell you something until the next election? That's when you see them the next time, the next election. Guaranteed, they're not going to come back now and just fellowship with you. They don't want to be there anyhow. When they come in the first place, they don't want to be there. They're only coming to get your vote. So let's stop giving them our vote. They don't deserve it. That's why I became an independent back in my 30s. These ancestors, Ida B. Wells, Frederick Douglass, Fannie Lou Hamer, Marcus Garvey, they would probably be turning over in their grave if they could, knowing how we have gone backward to a certain extent. And if we don't get it back, we're in trouble. And I'm going to be doing a master class as well as a boot camp. And I'm getting people signed up. I'm going to do it for Black History Month in February, along with a couple of other Black ladies, Miss Linnell Williams, Sister Cheryl. Both of them I consider sisters. Sister Linnell Williams, Sister Cheryl, out in New Jersey. We're going to do it virtually. And it's going to be amazing because it's a part 2 of Vision on Board. And we're going to talk about reclaiming our legacy as Black queens. Reclaiming our legacy as Black queens. That's what we're going to talk about in the masterclass and the boot camp. Masterclass will probably be a couple of hours. The boot camp should be about 5 days. We'll have to do it. We'll set the time so it will be convenient, and it will be recorded. So if you aren't able to attend, and it's free, it will be free, no charges, because we want to elevate our Black queens to a higher level of consciousness and bring our family structure together. And I would also like to do one with Black men, because that's how we come together. And that's how we stop being bamboozled and blindsided by these Democrats or Demorats. That's what I see them as, a bunch of Demorats running around, and that includes the Black ones too. Politicians like Clyburn, I think he's in South Carolina. That man has been there forever. And what has he done for Black people out there? I've read about him. So we just got to stop giving away our votes and look for a return on our investment when we vote, because that's an investment. They're not talking about reparations and what they're going to do for the Black community like they talk about what they're doing for these other communities and what they're doing for people that don't even vote in this country, the Ukrainians and all of these other people, foreigners. So we got to step it up, speak out. Stop being afraid. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. Start acting like it. Stop giving it up. 2024, a new year, a time for a renewing of your mind, your mindset. Stop being bamboozled. Mainstream media wants you to go out there. Even the Black ones out here, they want you to go and vote for these Democrats, but they can't show anything that they've done. They talk a good game, and they'll try to tell you, oh, they've done this, they've done that. But no, if they've done so much, why are Black people still out here fighting to get economically upgraded? Why? That should tell you everything you need to know. Because if they were doing so much, we wouldn't be talking. You wouldn't have Black media that's bringing the truth to you. And that's what we need to hear. We need to stop hearing all these lies that's in the history books and the states that's trying to stop you from speaking about slavery. Even Texas had the audacity to say that slaves were unpaid interns. When did unpaid interns get beaten and raped and castrated? And all of this discriminatory actions against Black people. And all these, the laws that were on the books. Read Dr. Anderson's books. Go to his website, look it up, and read those books. Powernomics, Black Labor, White Wealth, Dirty Little Secrets that they don't want you to know. I believe those are the titles. I know the two, the Powernomics and the other one. I think I have all of his books too. Let me see here. Okay, this one here that I'm working on, a Black history reader. 2024, let's make it a year of reading. Read, learn your history, because reading opens the mind to great opportunities. So let's read. This one is called A Black History Reader by Dr. Claude Anderson. And I told you about, he wrote Powernomics, Black Labor, White Wealth. So read these books. Make 2024 a year of reading. I'm starting to read more. At one time, I wasn't reading as much because I was dealing with some issues, personal issues and so forth with my son, David, who was diagnosed with a rare bone cancer, became he was only 14, he's 42 now. And I had to become conservator and had a lot of personal things going on. So I wasn't able to read as much, but I'm starting back now to reading. And I read Dr. Boyce Watkins' book, The 10 Commandments. This one here, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. Very powerful book. So I read this one. So we need to, and I met Dr. Anderson. My book that I just, Black Labor, White Wealth, that's autographed because I had met Dr. Anderson, have pictures with him. I was at a seminar and spoke with him. And this man is a wealth of knowledge in his, I believe he's in his 90s now. So let's read more and let's stop giving away our vote to these politicians that don't care about us. We have to learn to care about one another and love yourself so that we can love one another. That's so important and so vital. And again, I'm Louise Hicks, your host of Aim to Purpose, this podcast, Spiritual Empowerment Hour, where I come to you every Sunday and I talk about various content. And just subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe while you're here. Aim to Purpose Radio. Just subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and leave your comments. Let me know what your thoughts are on some of the content that I talk about, because I just want to support our people to a higher level of consciousness and support one another in our Black businesses. And I'm an author of an award-winning book that chronicles the journey of my son when he was diagnosed with the cancer. Very compelling book that's I'm going to have to get back into circulation. It's out of print right now, but I will get it back in there, hopefully sometime this year. And I'm working on a couple of other books as well. And hopefully I'll get them published, get my A Heal to Climb, A Teenager's Battle with Cancer, Depression, and Drug Addiction, get that published, republished, I should say, because it's an award-winning book, but it's not in publication right now. But I'm going to bring it back. So let's read and make our ancestors proud and stop giving away your vote. Let these politicians earn our vote, because the Democrats do not deserve your vote. Kamala Harris, you can talk about the Republicans. Like I said, I didn't vote for any of them because I consider them one snake with two heads. And I didn't suffer any more under Trump than I did under Obama or Biden or any of them, really, because they don't really do anything for Black people. And the Black caucus, they don't do anything to help elevate Black people. So why give them your vote? Make them earn it. That's all I'm saying. Make them earn it. What are the tangibles that you're going to provide? And I'm going to do another podcast too and talk about what's going on in New York with this governor signing some type of commission to go study reparations like Governor Newsom did in California. What good does it do to go study something that you already know that went on for over 500, almost 500 years, and you got to go study it? Did you study before you gave all those billions of dollars to Ukraine? You didn't study anything, you just handed it over. So why you got to keep doing a study about reparations? And Biden won't even mention it. So don't just give away your vote. Let's use our critical thinking skills, our common sense, and our discernment, and get a return on your vote. If you're not going to get a return, why vote? Why vote if you get no tangibles? So with that said, thank you all for all of your love and support. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I'm Louise Hicks, this mad Black woman, and that's for motivated and determined to support and continue to help elevate our Black community to a higher level of consciousness so that we won't be bamboozled, brainwashed, and vote for people that do not care about us, like Biden and Harris. Forget them. Unless they're going to bring some tangibles, talk about reparations, not just talk, but do it. Just like you're handing over all that money to Ukrainians, start working on reparations for Black people, the ancestors like myself, for our families being tortured and castrated and worked just like inhuman, three-fifths of a person in the Constitution. We weren't even considered people, just a three-fifths of a person in ownership. Why would you want to own somebody if you pretending you're a Christian in the first place? So let's use the scriptures to elevate ourselves, like I just shared with you, the scripture fearfully and wonderfully made. That's how we are, and that's who we are. God has not given us the spirit of fear, but a power of love and a sound mind. So let's love yourself and love one another. And with that said, remember our ancestors when you do decide to vote, if you do vote. But I'm not voting for Biden or Harris. I can guarantee you that. Didn't vote for them last time, won't be voting for them this time. Why give somebody your vote that cares nothing about you and show up at your church once a year and once an election year, I should say, and you don't see them again until next election? They don't come back and fellowship with you, do they? No. So use your GPS, your God-powered system, and let's connect the dots, everyone. So with that said, until next time, always remember your power lies within you. Let it loose because your destiny is your command. And again, I'm Louise Hicks, your host of this podcast, Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour. Subscribe to my channel, Aim to Purpose Radio, where we are right now. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Leave your comments. Let me know what your thoughts are on this election coming up, because they're going to start hounding you like hound dogs now. Oh, they're going to be hounding you for your Black vote. And unless you can get some tangibles and some return on your investment, I would not be bothered with them. So take care. Much love. See you next time. Bye-bye.